Once upon a time, in the beautiful city of Port Harcourt, there lived a young couple named Gozie and Kamsi. They had the kind of love that people admired. They were young, happy, and deeply in love. When they got married, they dreamt of building a strong family together. 2 years after they got married, Kamsi gave birth to their first daughter Chidinma, meaning God is good. Gozie was happy as he held their tiny beautiful daughter in his hands. In the hospital, he continued to smile at Kamsi, who lay on the hospital bed, feeling so proud of herself and happy that she was able to put a smile on Gozie's face. A few years later, their second daughter Olebube was born. Gozie smiled but felt a small disappointment in his heart. He had always wanted a son and heir. He was a successful businessman. He had branches of his businesses in some parts of the city. Who was going to take over from him? He was bothered, but tried to force a smile as he held little Olebube in his hands. She was beautiful and adorable. She will bring us joy, Kamsi assured him as he continued to look at tiny Olebube in his arms. Kamsi sat on the sofa in their bedroom. She noticed the disappointment in Gozie's face, even though Gozie tried to hide his disappointment so as not to hurt Kamsi, who understood the situation. When their third child, another girl, was born, Gozie was no longer smiling. He sat outside the hospital with a frown, refusing to look at Kamsi. She noticed the change, but she held on to hope. God will bless us with a son, she said to Gozie, trying to cheer him up. But Gozie no longer believed in waiting. He wanted a son desperately, someone to carry his name. Even his aged mother did not make things easy for him, as she was on his neck to give him a grandson. He remembered their lost conversations, the last time he traveled to the village to go and visit his aged mother. Mama Gozie recounted to him her ordeals since the death of his late father. My son, your uncles are very wicked and selfish. They have refused to allow me have access to all your father's lands. They insisted that tradition demands that until you have a son, then I can have access to your father's lands. But until then, they would still be in possession of the lands, as tradition demands in our village. So, my son, you have to work hard. If your wife is not giving you a son, please get yourself another wife. You are still very young. Who says you are not allowed to have another wife, especially in this your situation? Mama Gozie continued sadly. Mama, you know, I love my wife Kamsi. She has been a good wife to me. I just pray God blesses us with a son. I don't want to hurt or cause her any pain. Also, polygamy is not my thing, Gozie responded as he looked at his mother with disapproval on his face. These thoughts ran through Gozie's mind as he sat in his car. He had gone to get some food for Kamsi after she put to bed. 3 girls. Gozie, this is not good though. I need a male child. What will I tell Mama? This will break her heart. My inheritance is at risk. Who will inherit all these wealth I am amassing for myself? Gozie sat lost in thought. He was in so much pain. However, a few weeks after the birth of their third child, Erika, Gozie began to change. He stopped talking to Kamsi the way he used to. He stayed out late with the excuse of having meeting with a client. The love they both shared started fading. He hardly had time for the kids. Even when Kamsi tried to persuade him to at least have some time out with their toddlers, as he has always done in the past, he snapped at her. There was a day Gozie almost hit Kamsi as she tried to complain to him that he had changed and no longer had time for them. But one day everything shattered. Everything changed. Things no longer remained the same in the home of Kamsi and Gozie, as there was constant quarrels and squabbles between them. Kamsi then decided to make sure that she maintained peace from her own side. She did everything to please Gozie. Gozie, seeing Kamsi was willing to maintain peace in their home, decided to make Kamsi's life unbearable. He would request for fresh foods every dinner. He ordered her to always prepare hot pounded fufu. And in his words, please don't use that processor. I don't like the texture it's giving. It's not filling at all. Use the mortar. That's why your hands are there. Gozie said unbothered. When he noticed Kamsi used the food processor to make things easy for her. For Gozie, He wanted to frustrate Kamsi and make her leave their marriage. He snapped at every little mistake she made, always finding fault in everything Kamsi did. He also made Kamsi feel uncomfortable around him, even though he was careful not to be the one at fault here. He was subtle and intentionally wanted Kamsi out of his life. Each time he returned home and met Kamsi and their daughters laughing and having fun, he wondered how Kamsi was able to do it. Despite the ill-treatment he meted on her, she moved on with her life as if nothing was wrong in their family. He was highly disappointed. 2 years later, Kamsi got pregnant with their fourth child. That period, Gozie tormented her with words. He never assisted Kamsi with taking care of their children or in house chores. Rather, he added more burden onto the one she had already. He insisted Kamsi washed his clothes and ironed them every day. Kamsi, if you don't want both of us to have problems, don't you ever give my clothes to the laundryman down the street. Gozie sternly warned her. Kamsi looked confused and sad, but held herself, not wanting any trouble that evening. Kamsi was stressed with taking care of their 3 daughters alone, without assistance from Gozie, who just idled away whenever he was at home. During Kamsi's third trimester, Gozie refused to give Kamsi money to get baby items for their unborn baby. Please, Gozie, I don't know why you decided to be wicked to me and our children. Even if you hate me, can you also hate your innocent children? You blame me for giving you daughters, as if you don't know it was what you put inside me that I gave you. Why all this ill treatment from you? Kamsi said, crying. Her daughters heard her crying and came close to her. They looked sad. They cried with their mother, Kamsi. Their tears did not move Gozie, who was hard-hearted. I don't blame you, Kamsi. What you are looking from me you will not see, Gozie said coldly, as he picked up his car keys and left the house. He did not return until the third day. One afternoon, Gozie was searching for his car keys. He did not know where he dropped them, so he turned his bedroom upside down, where he was searching for his car keys. He was already running late for an appointment. He was so angry and was screaming at Kamsi, who joined him in searching for the key. As they were in their bedroom, Gozie suddenly stumbled on an envelope. What is this envelope for? He asked Kamsi. As he opened and read the contents of the envelope, Kamsi's heart stopped. She knew there was fire on the mountain, so she quickly knelt down. Please, Gozie, I'm very sorry. I did not know how to tell you, Kamsi said, her hands and voice shaking in fear. You are very wicked, Kamsi, Gozie thundered. So my village people sent you to destroy my life. Kamsi, you mean you are having another baby girl? Wait, oh Kamsi, another girl? Kamsi, I can see you are not serious at all. You better go and look for the father of this thing you are carrying. In short, why am I even babbling words with you? Gozie continued. His eyes were red in anger. Kamsi had never seen Gozie this angry before. Kamsi was weeping and begging and asking Gozie for forgiveness. Gozie, please have pity on me now. How is it my fault now that I'm having another daughter again? Am I the one that gives children? You think I'm happy? I also want to give you a son. But since it have turned this way, what do you want me to do? Gozie. But all her pleas fell on deaf ears, as Gozie was very sad and bitter. But as Kamsi tried to hold one of Gozie's leg as she continued pleading with him, he kicked her out of his way, and Kamsi fell and was lying lifeless on the floor. Gozie came close to Kamsi and raised her hands, tried to listen to her heartbeat, but there was no response. He panicked in fear that Kamsi could be dead, so he quickly collected some of his belongings, his car keys, and some of his vital documents, and left the house. A few moments later, Kamsi regained consciousness. She tried to get up, but could not. She now made all efforts by crawling to the front door. She tried to shout for help, but her voice was faint. So with her last strength, she opened the door of their house and collapsed in front of their house. A few hours later, that afternoon, the school bus have arrived with their daughters. That was how the driver alerted the neighbors, and Kamsi was rushed to the hospital. She was at the hospital for over a month before a cesarean section was done to bring out her baby. But to the shock of the doctors and Kamsi, Kamsi had a set of twins, a boy and a baby girl. Kamsi was overjoyed, but her joy was incomplete as Gozie was nowhere to be found. For the past 1 week that followed the birth of the twins, Gozie's phone numbers were unreachable. Kamsi had tried countless times to get him on the phone, but it was futile. Kamsi cried and wished to see if Gozie would return back to them, as finally she had a son for him. God has finally answered their prayers. So, in the second week of Kamsi's delivery, she was finally discharged from the hospital. The hospital bill was paid fully by Gozie's close friend Nonso, who was badly affected by his friend Gozie's disappearance. Nonso bought diapers, formula, baby clothes, and foodstuff for the twins and the other children. Gozie left Kamsi with nothing. As Kamsi read the letter that Gozie left for her on their table in their bedroom, tears flowed down her cheeks. I know you can never have a son for me. You have only brought me hard luck. You and your fellow gender that you have surrendered yourself with should not call me on the phone. For your information, I've moved on with my heartthrob, my newfound love. She's pregnant with our son. Kamsi's eyes widened. Her jaw dropped. She tried to get a grip of herself. This cut her heart deeply. Tears rolled down her face as she held her newborn twins, Willie, on the bed. Where will we go? What am I going to do now? She asked herself. Where will I start from? Gozie left me with nothing. Also in the letter, Gozie told Kamsi that he has sold off all his shops and has relocated to Ghana with his newfound pregnant lover to start a new life. That night, Kamsi cried until there was no more tears left. That night, Kamsi sat on the cold floor of their apartment, holding her twins close to herself. The house felt empty, like a graveyard after a funeral. The man, who once swore to love her forever, had walked out without looking back. Chidinma, the eldest, only 7 years old, wiped Kamsi's tears. Mom, don't cry. Daddy will come back, she said. But deep down, Kamsi knew the truth. Gozie wasn't coming back. She has lost him. The next few weeks, reality hit harder than Kamsi expected. She reached into the food cupboard and it was empty. The little money she had left could barely buy food for some days. She had always been a stay-at-home wife because Gozie insisted on providing, but now she had nothing to fall back on. She was still thinking of what to do when a sharp knock on the door startled her. It was their landlord, Papa Oba. Mama Ejima, where is your husband? Your rent is due. I have not seen any alert yet. Kamsi swallowed hard. Please, my husband ran away from our home, leaving me with these 5 children. As we speak, I don't have any food in my house, and the little money I have on me can barely sustain us for some days. Sir, please, have pity on me. I will run around for money, please, sir. Kamsi pleaded with Papa Oba. Papa Oba scoffed. How does that concern me? Please, I don't want no excuse now. I give you 2 weeks. If you don't pay, you and your children will sleep outside, he thundered angrily. Kamsi shut the door and leaned against it. How did her life come to this? God, where are you? She looked up hopelessly into the ceiling of their bedroom, lost. She never knew Gozie could be this mean to her and their children. She did not see this coming. Meanwhile, Gozie was living his best life with his newfound lover Ifunaya, the woman who had promised him a son. Ifunaya was beautiful, flashy. She knew how to make a man feel important, always whispering sweet things into Gozie's ears. Baby, I will give you a strong son, she assured him one night as she rested on his chest. Gozie smiled, feeling like a king. He believed he had made the right choice. He moved into a new apartment with Ilfonaya, bought her expensive clothes and handbags, and even got her a car. His mother praised him for being wise. Well, my son, with this step you took, I'm sure you would get your inheritance back from your uncles, and you can always start a business there. I hear Ghana is a thriving country, and many of our people over there are doing so well for themselves. Mama Gozie said. Yes, Mama, I like this place, Gozie replied. Months later, Ifunaya came home with the scan results from the hospital, which showed that she was going to have a son. Gozie and Ifunaya, we are so happy. A few weeks later, Ifunaya delivered a baby boy, and Gozie named him Ikenna, meaning father's strength. He was so happy. Ifunaya, you are the best thing that happened to me, said to her. I love you so much. Ifunaya is a real woman, his mother boasted. Not like that useless Kamsi with her bad luck, she said on the phone when Gozie broke the news of the arrival of his son to her. Gozie, my son, I'm now happy. My soul is at peace now, she said, smiling. Gozie felt victorious, but what he never knew was that destiny was watching. And back in Kamsi's world, survival was war. She took up petty jobs, washing clothes for neighbors, selling akara by the roadside, anything she could do to feed her daughters and son. There were days she and her children went to bed hungry. There were days she cried silently, looking at her children sleeping on the tin mattress, wondering if God had forgotten her. When they had a wealthy father like Gozie, one night in the middle of heavy rain, she woke up to see water dripping from their leaking roof. The children huddled close, shivering from the cold. Kamsi busted in hot tears. Mom, I'm hungry, one of the twins whispered. Kamsi's heart shattered as she had bad sales that day. So that night, she made a decision that she was done crying. No problem. If Gozie thought that I and my children would fail or die without him, he was wrong. She promised herself that she was going to rise and come out victorious, regardless of the hurdles that comes her way. Many years later, Gozie sat on the chair close to Ifunaya's hospital bed with their three sons, who also stood close to Ifunaya. They were afraid for their mother's survival. Ifunaya had been sick for some time now, and the doctors were still running some tests on her. Her breath was heavy, his hands trembling. Ifunaya refused to meet his eyes. So it's true. His voice was almost a whisper, but it carried the weight of a broken man. Ifunaya, you lied to me all these years. So you mean our sons here are not mine? You mean you had our sons from different men? You deceived me, Ifunaya, all these years. I believed I had sons, not knowing I had nothing. Ifunaya, I did nothing but show you love. Gozie stumbled backward, his mind racing. Ifunaya, I spent all my money on you and your sons, thinking they are mine. I left my home, abandoned and disgraced my wife and daughters, all for a lie. Ifunaya, you will never find peace and rest, even after you leave this world. I hate you so much, Gozie said bitterly. Gozie stormed out of the hospital, his heart pounding, his world collapsing. Where was he going to start from? Whilst Gozie was drowning in regret, Kamsi had fought her way out of misery, had struggled, suffered, and endured humiliation with her daughters. She had begged for jobs, slept hungry, and cried countless nights, but she never gave up on herself. She believed God was going to bring her out of every despair. Kamsi sold food by the roadside, waking up before dawn to prepare meals. At first, people mocked her. How a whole madam like her has become a mere food seller. They whispered because they knew her when Gozie was still in her life. But Kamsi was not deterred. She kept pushing. She took small savings and expanded her food business. She moved from a roadside stand to a small shop, then from one shop to two. Her daughters, once hungry and helpless, were now in school, studying hard, and whenever they were back from school or on holidays, they were assisting her in the shop. When Chidinma was in the senior class in the secondary school, she was already winning science competitions. Olebe was also good in mathematics. Akwerika, her third daughter, was also doing so well academically. The twins were still in the early years in primary school. Gozie's close friend Nonso and his wife Juliana had been a strong support to Kamsi and her children. They held their hands through thick and thin. God came through for Kamsi one evening. As she locked up her shop, a black SUV stopped in front of her. The window rolled down, revealing a well-dressed man. Madam, your food business is the talk of the town, he said, and I want to invest in you. Kamsi was shocked and at first doubted him. She gave a deep thought to it and later consented. Tears filled Kamsi's eyes as she signed the agreement paper. That was how the man invested millions in Kamsi's food business, making her own one of the biggest and successful restaurants in the city. Kamsi was a very good cook, and this gave her a great advantage over her contemporaries. And with this financial lift, Kamsi was able to sponsor her three daughters through the university with less effort, and the twins were now in the secondary school. Years later, Chidinma graduated as an electrical engineer and was able to secure a good job with a communication company, also with a very good salary. She was doing so well for herself. Olebube was now a medical doctor working at the Federal Medical Center. Akwerika, her third daughter, was serving as a youth corper in a prestigious bank where she was promised to be retained after her service year as an accountant. The twins Chibuikem, her son, and Eberichukwu, her daughter, the second twin, were now writing their final secondary school exams. One evening, after Kamsi came back from the restaurant, to a surprising visit from her three daughters, they were in the house and she was so happy to see them. In a few days, Kamsi would turn 50, so they came to celebrate her. That night after dinner, as they were talking and catching up with time, everyone was happy when they heard a knock. Chibuikem went to see whom it was. When he opened the door, he was surprised to see a man looking so unkempt. He should be in his 60s. Chibuikem tried to explain to Kamsi, who came to see who the stranger was. But to her surprise, standing at their door was Gozie. Kamsi was stunned, almost missed her step. Gozie, what are you doing here? So you are still alive? Kamsi shouted in surprise. Chidinma and her sisters all raced out as they heard Kamsi's voice. Chidinma and Olebube were able to recognize Gozie, their father. They just stood speechless, resenting him. Kamsi stood there, dressed in an elegant gown, her eyes cold. She looked at him like a stranger. Gozie's throat went dry. Kamsi, I made a very terrible mistake, and I'm very sorry. Kamsi folded her arms. So what do you want? Gozie glanced at their children. My children. I came to see them. A bitter laugh escaped Kamsi's lips. Your children? Gozie, do you mean your children? Are you sure you are in the right place, Gozie? Gozie felt small. Kamsi, please now, he begged. Ifunaya deceived me. She gave me another man's sons. I lost everything. After the death of Ifunaya due to a terminal disease, her sons threw me out since I was not their biological father. Gozie, what a sad story. How? Your story is so touching. Kamsi stepped forward. And what did you expect? That you could destroy us, walk away, and return like nothing happened? Gozie? How is it possible now? Tears filled Gozie's eyes. I was foolish. Please, Kamsi, give me another chance. Please, my children, forgive your father. I'm so sorry for everything. Kamsi shook her head. Gozie, you left us in the dark, but we found our way without you. Gozie was broken and fell to his knees. Please, don't let me suffer. Kamsi, I have nothing left but you and our children. Kamsi's eyes were like steel. She was angry, trying her best to maintain her calm. Did you think about my suffering when you left me to starve? Whilst Kamsi and Gozie were still talking, Chidinma and her siblings stepped forward. Chidinma, now a successful engineer, looked at him. You don't deserve us, father. You cannot eat where you did not sow. Go and look for your mistress. You have nothing with us. Oloebube, now a medical doctor, added, a father isn't just someone who gives life. He stays father. But you left. Chibuikem, their son, simply stared at him. You are just a stranger to me. Gozie was taken aback. For the first time, he looked closely at Chibuikem. He had some of his striking features and resemblance. What, Kamsi? Who is this? So we have a son. Oh God, I'm finished. What happened? How did it happen? Gozie fell and wept uncontrollably. So Kamsi narrated to him how she had a set of twins. After he absconded with Ifunaya, Gozie broke down. So he now had a son from his loins, and he had lost his daughters and son forever. Kamsi took one last look at the man she once loved. Then she closed the door in his face. Gozie walked away, broken, lost, and filled with regrets. He had gambled away a precious family for an illusion. Now he was nothing. Kamsi and her daughters, on the other hand, thrived. They built a legacy of strength, resilience, and success for themselves. Years later, Kamsi's three daughters all got married with children. Chibike was now running his master's program in the UK with a scholarship program from the university where he graduated from. He graduated as the best graduating student. Chibike's twin sister, Eberechukwu, also graduated with a degree in business administration. She was now in charge of Kamsi's restaurant. Hence, Kamsi was able to live with Chidinma and her other daughters, as she was always traveling for Omugwo to take care of them after child delivery. Gozie became a lonely man all the days of his life, a living reminder that the grass is not always greener on the other side. He lived to regret his actions with guilt all his days. Thank you so much for watching this story to the end. I really appreciate you all. I cannot be thankful enough for your immense support and love for this channel. I want to encourage us to share our thoughts in the comment sections, the lessons we have learned from this story. What do you think about Kamsi's decision and that of her children after Gozie returned back to their lives? Please remember to give this story a thumbs up so it can get to a wider audience. So share with your loved ones and friends. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, please do to be part of this family. Stay here with us for more beautiful stories. Until next time,